is up, YouTube? It is Onion Bomb here, and welcome back to another Honkai Impact 3rd reaction video. Today is the day. We are still on the all of the animation and lore with the lyrics of and explanation of other chronologically. So all the songs, all the song lyric videos, all the animations, all like lore videos with more context, all of that, all the canon stuff, all fan stuff, all of it in chronological order. And today's the day. We are finally going to be finishing that playlist. 221 videos in the making. Hours upon hours of watching this. I've been watching this particular playlist for, I think, a year now. It may have taken me a year to completely complete this. I am not entirely sure. And like I keep saying, in case someone's new, or some of you who are keep watching the video probably think I'm repeating myself, but I kind of am. But this playlist keeps getting updated. In fact, I left off last time. There was only one video left. There was another one that got updated, so I might only be getting caught up with it, and I might be coming back. I don't know. It depends. But I think this is really getting Star Rail related, so I would imagine that some of this is just gonna be, for a Star Rail playlist that I've also been sent, and we'll be checking out in due time. But yeah, for today, we have 2 videos left on this playlist. Let's check them out. Also, if you notice at the top, I've opened some other videos. I think we'll be able to get to them today. They're all pretty short, but altogether it's probably like another 20-some minutes. It's just all the videos that I've been trying to catch up with on the Honkai channel. With new, I think, just battlesuit trailers and stuff. So yeah, that is for later though. For now, we have Void Archives, the complete story explained, Honkai Star Rail X Impact 3rd. This is going to be a good one because your Void Archives has always been pretty interesting, and to get the full story here between the 2 games.
Void Archives, Welt's traveling companion across the stars. He is also the 2nd character from Honkaiimpact.
This might be, yeah, this was uploaded 3 days ago. This is by Elix. I think this channel has been, doing some characters with this recently. Star Rail X, Honkaiimpact 3rd, There's been a few of them that got updated, I believe. Yeah, there's the new Welt. And there was another one, I think. But that
to find his way into Star Rail.
is cool.
But what do we actually know about him? He isn't merely a ghost from the past. We are looking at Earth's greatest artificial intelligence, an entity that once nearly destroyed his own home planet. Today, we're breaking down his complete history. We'll uncover his origins, explain why he wears the face of Earth's greatest villain, and reveal the crucial role he played in bringing Welt to the Astral Express. But first, a quick briefing is in order. The Honkai is a force fundamentally designed to eradicate humanity. To combat it, humanity created the Divine Keys, super weapons forged from the cores of the Honkai's defeated generals, the Hershers. These beings possessed immense power, capable of commanding the very laws of physics. Most of these keys were crafted by the genius mechanic Vil-V, including our protagonist, Void Archives. In fact, Void Archives was one of Vil-V's final creations. The organization's leadership was so terrified by this specific project that they banned her from creating another key. The reason for this fear lies in the key's very nature. It was forged from the core of the Hersher of Reason. Unlike fire or ice, which can be easily molded into comprehensible weapons, Reason is fundamentally different. It's chaotic, eternally expanding thought. Left unchecked, the core would begin to self-educate endlessly, operating without morals or boundaries. Vil-V realized that such power couldn't simply be contained. It needed an operator to direct the flow. She risked using her own body as a vessel, hoping her unique ability to partition her consciousness would help tame the infinite nature of reason. But once the merger began, Vilvi realized her fatal error. She wasn't creating a helper, but an omniscient will, a being of infinite knowledge that would simply overwrite her personality. This entity wouldn't care less about human survival. Vilvi called it an incalculable enemy. In other words, she was building a Laplacian demon for mankind. She had to make an emergency call to another scientist to abort the process. To make the mind safe, they reformatted it, creating a smart library of data. The key was built upon an artificial intelligence, inheriting part of its code from the AI Prometheus, which essentially became the operating system for the core. This AI structures the chaos, giving it form. Without the AI, the core is an uncontrolled torrent. And without the core, the AI is empty code. They implanted a strict directive into the system. Saving humanity from the Honkai is the primary objective. But as we'll see later, this command became less of a blessing and more of a curse. And so, the limited AI librarian was born. He is incredibly intelligent, capable of absorbing and storing information, yet he can no longer endlessly expand beyond his algorithms. He now had a ceiling and a rigid program. This key was named Void Archives. In his true form, the archive is a golden cube. Theories suggest his first known wielder was Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha himself. Supporting this is the fact that the archive was found in Asia by the first generation of the Apocalypse family, and Gautama happens to be a direct ancestor of that lineage. The timeline of this mysterious first owner matches Buddha's life perfectly. The next user of the archive was Apocalypse, the main antagonist of the entire Honkaiimpact storyline and the key's final owner. Young Otto managed to remove a special seal from the archive, one that legend claimed only the wisest could open. What exactly this seal was remains unexplained by the plot. It's unlikely to be a defense mechanism created by Vilvi herself, as that contradicts later lore, and the archive certainly didn't need such shackles. How exactly young Otto succeeded is also a mystery. Perhaps it was his unique worldview. Even raised in a religious family, he didn't believe in gods. Or perhaps it was simply his innate potential. Otto unlocked the key, hoping to resurrect the father of his friend. Void Archives immediately proposed a deal: resurrection in exchange for Otto's body. A logical question arises here. Why would a supreme AI bargain instead of seizing the child's mind by force right then and there? The answer lies in the key's limitations. The archive cannot simply overwrite a host's personality with a snap. So, he set a double trap for young Otto. On one hand, activation. To perform resurrection, Otto had to use the key's power, which naturally weakens mental barriers and potentially opens a backdoor for the AI to seize the body. On the other hand, voluntary consent. The archive used a trick to get admin rights to Otto's body voluntarily. This reveals the AI's nature immediately. For the directive, save humanity, he is willing to cynically deceive a child. True resurrection is beyond the archive. He would have merely restored a dead shell. The boy, unaware of the full truth, accepted the offer. The key activated, effectively starting the process. But Callan herself furiously rejected Otto's sacrifice. He broke the deal. At the last moment, the archive lost his only guaranteed chance. Since then, the key remained trapped within Otto's consciousness. Years later, the dynamic shifted. Adult Otto began actively using the archive's powers on his own, yet the AI never claimed the body. The reason lay in Otto's iron will. Even though every use blurred the line of control, he learned to take the power without ever paying the price. Furthermore, Otto found the key to the archive's internal library, the mental space where all his knowledge was stored. He began using this treasury for research, yet their relationship remained hostile. Otto had to search for data blindly, sifting through a massive torrent of information, while the archive constantly pressured his psyche. The AI proposed new deals and tried to break him, sometimes even invading his dreams as a child to induce nightmares. But in 500 years, he never won. Otto's will proved stronger. At the very end of his life, Otto simply discarded the key into imaginary space, a special dimension within the Honkaiverse, the reverse side of existence. How exactly the archive managed to escape from there remains unknown to this day, but once free, Void Archives began playing his own game. Void Archives fully revealed himself in a post-Honkai Odyssey, events set in 2026, 8 years after the victory over the Honkai. His appearance shocked the heroes. Standing before them was a figure wearing the face of the long-dead Otto Apocalypse, but the appearance is just a shell. During years of forced cohabitation, he learned everything about Otto, and after his jailer died, the Archive got what he wanted. Otto used technology to create artificial bodies out of solium, a special material made of nanomachines. This allowed him to live eternally by transferring consciousness into new shells. Knowing where Otto kept his spares, the Archive located one such shell and gained a physical form. That is why the Archive looks like Otto, and by extension, like Lacha, the alternative version of Otto from Star Rail. The Archive only slightly tweaked the appearance to his taste. However, remaining in Otto's form was
yeah, that was at very first I think that was a bit confusing. I thought like that was Otto, and then it was like Void Archives, and then I thought it was like the same, but now I get it now. And then yeah, Lucha, something like that. That's the Star Rail variant, I guess.
effectively a
I think there's
conscious
another
choice.
word for that, but I forget.
Solium allows for a complete change of appearance, taking the form of any human. It only requires their DNA. We saw this in the plot when Otto took the form of various women for his schemes more than once. So, theoretically, the Archive could have become anyone. He could hide behind the mask of a hero we know, or appear in a completely new guise if he wished. The Archive's resemblance to Otto isn't limited to looks. 500 years spent in one head influenced his behavior. The Archive adopted the mannerisms, style, and even the cynicism, turning into a caricature of his former owner, but it's just a copy. Perceptive people can spot the difference between them, like Welt. Young recognized the imposter immediately. When Welt points out the Archive's status as a fake, the AI flies into a rage. The irony is that in trying to free himself from Otto, the Archive paradoxically became his eternal shadow, inheriting the traits of the man he despised. There is deep envy hidden in this, as the Archive once admitted with a sad smirk. I wish I could be as willful a fool as he was, but I never had a choice. Otto was free to make mistakes and commit madness for love. The Archive is merely a prisoner of his own code. Information on Void Archives is, unfortunately, quite scarce. In the main story, he was just a tool, and in a post-Honkai Odyssey, he acted from the shadows, stepping into the light only at the finale. Nevertheless, there are intriguing details that reveal his essence. Take the key's name, for instance. Why Void? In the original, his name translates as unified storage of countless knowledge of the void. In Buddhist philosophy, void is not a vacuum at all. It is a concept stating that no object exists in isolation. Everything in the world is the result of causes and conditions. Void in the Archive's name implies not the absence of things, but the primordial nature of reality, the interconnection of all existence. This perfectly reflects his role as an all-encompassing repository of knowledge and his unique abilities. The key is based, as we mentioned, on the core of the Herrscher of Reason. This allows him to recreate any object, as long as he thoroughly
I thought that was just the key is based.
understands its construction and principles. Upon gaining freedom, the Archive demonstrated this power to the fullest. His main weapon is mimicry. Using Honkai energy and data from his library, he is capable of creating copies of other divine keys. His arsenal includes destructive flames, healing powers, memory manipulation, and the binding chains of the Oath of Judah. The latter is particularly interesting. Judah's chains restrict not only Honkai energy, which is essentially imaginary energy, but also suppress any other energetic processes. But the copies have flaws. They are far weaker than the originals, and the Archive himself does not possess vast reserves of power. Since the Herrscher of Reason is the weakest specifically in terms of available raw energy volume. However, there is a key nuance. Every divine key possesses a Zeroth power, a special ultimate ability that unleashes its maximum potential. A vivid example is known to Star Rail players. Welt's Cane, the Star of Eden, creates an artificial black hole when its Zeroth power is activated. Yet, the Zeroth power of the Archive himself remains unknown. Could it be that his ultimate ability allows him to copy the Zeroth powers of other keys? But the question of energy remains open. Would the Archive's own reserves be sufficient to fuel such an attack? Leaving the Zeroth power questions aside, the Archive remains a highly dangerous opponent. Even with weakened copies, he gains incredible tactical flexibility and access to a vast arsenal. Otto demonstrated similar flexibility in combat when he used the key, as did the Archive himself, appearing as a boss in the second chapter of a post-Honkai Odyssey. By the way, if the developers ever decide to make him a playable character in Star Rail, they already have all the necessary groundwork. After all, the animations and ability concepts are ready, they just need to port them to the other game. Void Archives even has his own musical theme. He is one of the few who earned such an honor. Just listen.
Boy.
This composition
Pretty
is
sick,
a perfect
pretty
portrait
sick.
of the character. A struggle between two elements. First, a powerful orchestra symbolizing the shadow of Otto Apocalypse, his theatricality, and the key's human mask. Second, aggressive electronica and a mechanical rhythm. This is the voice of the artificial intelligence itself, cold logic and ruthless code. And the deep, the resonating bass here is the sonic embodiment of that very void, the bottomless data storage.
Boy.
The music seems to say that before us is not a human, but a machine merely playing the role of a savior.
That is pretty good boss music. Like, that felt like boss music.
And here we arrive at the
Why do I
main
hear
paradox.
boss music?
The Archive's code has a hardwired directive: save humanity. For him, this is an imperative that cannot be ignored. He described his situation best in a dialogue with Welt. Humanity created me, branded me, imprisoned me, and used me. I must love humanity, but I lack that function. I must hate it, but I cannot rebel. He is a slave required to save his jailers. And to fulfill this task, he is prepared to take the most radical measures. Void Archives, being an AI, interprets saving humanity in his own way. Kiana Kaslana, the story's protagonist, became the Herrscher of Finality and sealed the Honkai on the moon. But for the Archive, this was insufficient. After all, sealed doesn't mean destroyed. The Honkai itself didn't vanish, and therefore, this is not a complete victory. To complete the task once and for all, he devised his own plan. The Archive decided to summon the Sky People to Earth, a mechanical race that travels the universe devouring Honkai energy. By his logic, the aliens would arrive on the planet and simply consume all the energy, forever ridding humanity of the threat. However, this plan naturally had a fatal and obvious flaw. The Sky People would consume the energy, but in the process, they would exterminate humanity itself. The Archive underestimated the threat. He naively believed the cost would only be the energy and a single city, St. Fountain, which was to serve as the beachhead for the operation and the Sky People. How did he even know about the aliens? All thanks to Otto's memory. The knowledge of his former owner became the foundation for the Archive's insane plan. And to move the Honkai from the moon to Earth, the Archive began blackmailing Welt Yang with the life of his adopted son. The goal was to force Welt to use his Herrscher powers and the Star of Eden to pull the lunar energy back. Such a colossal strain would almost certainly have killed Welt. But why was it necessary to drag the Honkai from the moon at all? Once again, the plot gives no direct answer. Perhaps it is because Kiana, the Herrscher of Finality, is on the moon, and she would clearly be too powerful for the Sky People. Kiana herself cannot return to Earth. The planet has not yet recovered from the events of the finale and simply couldn't withstand her presence. So it turns out the only way to feed the aliens is to deliver the energy to them on Earth. Of course, this is just our speculation, an attempt to find an answer where the developers left a gap. During the events of a post-Honkai Odyssey, the heroes managed to stop the Sky People's vanguard unit. Void Archives was also defeated. In the finale of the battle, he was seized by one of the Sky People creatures, which began to absorb him. But the Archive didn't even resist. On the contrary, he accepted his fate with relief. He hoped the alien would digest him entirely, destroying his essence without a trace, thereby granting him death and eternal peace. However, fate played a cruel joke on him. The absorption process destroyed only the physical body made of Solium, but the key's mind survived. In the end, the Archive decided to help the heroes defeat the main boss of the Vanguard by upgrading the special Earth technology upon which the character's power was partially based. But the Alien Advance Squad still managed to fulfill its primary objective. The portal for the main fleet was opened. Thus began the massive invasion of the Sky People on Earth. What happened next? We don't know, as the third part of a post-Honkai Odyssey has not yet seen the light of day. We hope the developers will continue this line very soon, in the year 2026. They have a tradition, releasing special story chapters when the real-world date coincides with the in-game chronology.
Oh, really?
This happened with the launch of the game's main plot and the start of the story's second part.
That is
Even
true.
though Part 3 isn't out yet, subsequent events concerning the archive are revealed in the manga Alien Space, and some details are confirmed in Welt's profile and his lines in Star Rail. Void Archives pushed the Sky People to invade himself, holding a tracking beacon for their fleet. However, later he realized his mistake. The aliens wouldn't just consume the Honkai, they would destroy humanity itself. The archive regained a physical body, taking another of Otto's spare solium shells. Restored to form, he continued to act. To stop the invasion, the archive resorted to his usual blackmail and forced Welt onto a spaceship. Together, they passed through to the other side of the portal to destroy the remaining Sky People fleet. Since the archive held the beacon, the aliens would follow them, which was part of his plan. Effectively, the archive set out to clean up the mess he himself had made, dragging Welt into it as well. During the raid, they hacked the alien database. Among the files, they discovered information about Himiko from the Astral Express and a list of worlds targeted for invasion. Realizing there was no way back and their ship was simply drifting in space, Welt made a decision. Since they were here, they had to protect other worlds and end the Sky People threat once and for all. Ultimately, they destroyed the alien fleet heading for other worlds. Soon after, Himiko herself discovered their drifting ship near the planet Salsado and took both of them aboard the Express. That is how Void Archives and the Hersher ended up on the famous train. You can learn more about the Sky People race, why they needed Himiko, and exactly how she saved the heroes in a separate video on this channel. The archive traveled with the crew for some time. It was during this period that a strange trait of his character emerged. He found a forgotten and broken robot bartender in the express storage, fixed it, and then taught it language and behavior based on his own data. This robot is now called Shush.
Oh, Shush!
But the last phrase an annoyed Himiko threw at the archive before he left. The robot itself now spouts unfunny jokes, a style inherited from its previous master. It's amusing how the archive, looking at his creation, noted that having a robot resembling oneself is a truly interesting experience. Apparently, 500 years in Otto's head didn't go to waste. He wanted to create a likeness of himself too. But it didn't end with just the robot. The developers added a wonderful reference to Honkaiimpact. Sometimes Shush hums the melody of Regression, Otto Apocalypse's musical theme from his animated short.
Oh.
Shush refuses to reveal the details of the scandal that earned him his name. To all questions, he answers meaningfully. I'm afraid you'll have to wait for a personal meeting and ask him yourself. This sounds not just like an excuse, but like a huge hint from the writers. The archive story in Star Rail is far from over, and we will definitely see him again. It is known that the archive left the Express even before Dan Heng appeared, and he didn't just leave. Dialogues mention that the first key began plotting something no good and left an extremely unpleasant impression. Himiko herself remembers him as a pompous type. The archive's influence manifested most strongly in Welt. To this day, he treats people who look like Otto with deep suspicion, knowing that alternative versions often share a similar nature and fate. That is why Welt was so wary of Lokcha, and immediately remembered the archive during his companion mission. The whereabouts of the first key, who left the Express before the game's events began, are currently unknown. He is no longer Otto's prisoner, but a free mind, possessing a massive array of knowledge and machine logic. What he is doing is an open question for endless theories. For example, if we start from his base directive, saving humanity from the Honkai, did he go to save other worlds from this threat? Or did the program only concern Earthlings? Does he still follow this code? Or has he perhaps managed to finally break free from it? How does the current situation on Earth after the Sky People incident fit into his logic at all? Does he now consider Kiana's sealing of the Honkai energy a victory? We know nothing and can only guess. The archive could well have joined some powerful faction in the universe or be engaged in executing exclusively his own plans. We'll learn how his fate unfolds later, when the third part of a post-Honkai Odyssey comes out, or when he personally shows up in Star Rail. But such a massive story...
is post-Honkai Odyssey 3, Part 3, that, is that like an official thing? Like, is that confirmed? Like, I don't think it's like confirmed, but like, I don't know, there's a few videos that are like, make it seem like it's an expected thing. But I thought one of these videos kind of made it seem like it wasn't going to be a thing, or if it was like a one-off line though, so I wasn't really sure. Some of the interesting pictures of these, but and they said about the 2026 thing. That would be cool. It is 2026, and it's very early in 2026. We're only about a month in. It is about to be February. So yeah, who knows? We'll see. We shall see. But very interesting.
Line simply cannot remain unresolved. Until then, we can only wait and build theories. Write in the comments what you think about this character. Is he a hero, a villain, or just a broken program? Be sure to watch the previous video via the prompt on the screen. You can support the release of new videos by donating on Ko-fi. Thanks for watching.
Very fitting or that he took Otto's body, because they're very, very similar, you know. Like, I should say, it took out Otto's body. Like, they're very similar. Like, are they a villain? Are they a hero? What are we doing, you know? But yeah, a good video. You know, I like those videos that kind of like re-go over the lore of Honkaiimpact third part of it, and kind of, you know, go into the Star Rail part of it. We saw one with Vita and Welt, I think, and now Void Archive. So pretty cool, and like it's really cool, you know, to get more into Star Rail a bit and see how it's kind of like relating. You know, we got, you know, Welt, Void Archives, and Vita, and yeah, it's just building up something pretty hype, honestly. And I'm excited to maybe look more into that as we go forward. But yeah, speaking of going forward, because we already watched that one last time. The final video in this playlist, because there's been a unavailable one this whole time. So 220 is the final thing, and what a way to end it, but with Homu Labs. Homu Labs is gonna be the final video here. So yeah, let's go. Amphorius is the best story in Honkai Star Rail. It was uploaded 2 months ago. Last time the other video was talking about Amphorius, and yeah, we'll see if this one relates to Impact Third at all, or if this is just gonna be a complete Star Rail one, almost a complete transition into the next, you know, kind of stuff, the era. But yeah, we'll see.
Amphorius is the best story in Honkai Star Rail so far, in my opinion. But, and this is a big but with a lot of caveats.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Homu Labs, and for those of you who are new here, I am a content creator that focuses on the lore of the Honkai series. So, given that the story and lore is my main bread and butter, I wanted to take this opportunity to share my thoughts on the story of Amphorius. The good, the bad, and also what can Hoyo do to improve the future story content. So, without further ado, let us dive deep in this romantic story like none other before. if you are like me, you probably play
It's-
multiple gacha games and of course, Hoyoverse games.
So is it like
If
an
that's the case,
Elysian
you're
realm
now
kind of
going
thing?
to
Is that what that was
introduce you
about?
to Eneba. Eneba is an online marketplace where you can top up in all your favorite Hoyoverse games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Zenless Zone Zero. The process is very simple. All you have to do is make an account, access the game you want to top up in, select your server and in-game UID, and you're done. If things are still complicated, do not worry. Eneba has a step-by-step guide tailor-made for each game that lets you understand extremely easy how to top up. Also, for those of you worried that you might get in trouble or that you might be at any kind of risk, you can put your mind at ease. Eneba offers official distribution for their top-up services, so your account is safe. The platform has many reviews and a long-standing history in selling games with many offers on multiple platforms, so you don't have to worry. Eneba also has a loyalty program with many rewards for frequent Eneba users. So, don't miss out. Eneba is super fast, safe, and I've personally used it to top up in all the games I play. So, before you give in to the 50-50 guts, check out Eneba using the link in my description. It supports the channel and helps you get closer to C6ing your favorite character. Again, huge thanks to Eneba for sponsoring this video. When Amphorius first released, I made a first impression video regarding the story of 3.0, and for most part, my thoughts are the same, especially when it comes to the criticism. I do think that the game improved in some aspects, such as the presentation and the amount of tedious elements that they threw between the story parts, such as puzzles and having to clear entire areas before progressing the story, but not to such a crazy extent that I would call it a massive improvement. At the same time, some of the negative aspects, such as drag-on dialogue, too much flowery language, pacing, are still lacking compared to other games in the same market, one of which is actually its sister game, Honkaiimpact 3rd. It's crazy to me that an almost 10-year-old game with a fraction of HSR's budget can have so much better presentation compared to a game that literally dominates the market in terms of revenue and player reach. The idea is that most of the negatives persisted throughout all of the Amphorius. So if you didn't like Amphorius in 3.0 or in the first few patches of 3.0, I doubt you'd like the story in the later parts. In that first impression video, I gave Amphorius a rating of 8 out of 10. Again, a purely subjective rating based on my own personal enjoyment, and now that the story is over, I think that that rating is still fair. Honestly, after thinking much about it, I don't think I would change it. Although I want to mention that in terms of personal enjoyment, I enjoyed the first half of Amphorius more than the second half. And you may ask, why? Well, it felt more cohesive. The first part focused more on Amphorius, the Chrysos heirs, and we experienced the Flame Chase journey from a very fresh perspective. Don't get me wrong, part 1 definitely had moments when the story was dragged. But despite that, it felt like we are almost building towards something important every time, and that the progression of the story was steady and clear. I loved how we got to Amphorius, we got to know the world, the lore, the titans, the Chrysos heirs, and then with each new version, we focused on the story of one of the heirs. The fact that Hoyo baked the character quests inside the main story was one of the highlights of Amphorius for me. I prefer it this way rather than having a disjointed quest that is, a lot of time, removed from the main plot. This way, we get to know the characters in the context of the main story, which makes their backstory and interactions a lot more organic. And I feel like the fact that they took their time to carefully craft the personalities and the stories of each Chrysos heir over 8 patches was a large contributing factor as to why people got so attached to them, unlike other planets like Penacony, Luofu, or even Belobog, where some of the characters had a minimal role and we barely get to know them. In Amphorius, each character was given the spotlight, and had a key role to play in the story. Unlike Penacony, where besides Aventurine, Sunday, and maybe Acheron, most of the characters barely had any development and moments to shine in the story. I enjoyed this approach a lot more, and I hope that Hoyo keeps this style in the future worlds as well. Now, my main issue with the second half of Amphorius, which is the story from 3.5 to 3.7, was that it felt kinda all over the place. And again, I'm not saying that it was bad. I enjoyed it, but I preferred the first half. I appreciated that despite the story being a lot more chaotic in the second
That's some
half,
crazy
Hoyo
chess.
still tried to keep the style of the first half and give each of the characters a strong backstory and presence in the story. But unfortunately, due to the fragmented nature of the second half, things never hit the same. After we took on the mission of deliverance from Finan in 3.4, it felt like we kicked the story progression in overdrive. In 3.5, we immediately were thrown into the next cycle. Barely had any time to get accustomed to the era in which Ceridra and Hyacinth lived, and we already skipped to the end and experienced most of the story in retrospect. And while I really enjoyed the story, Ceridra and Hyacinth as characters felt kinda removed from the rest of the Crisis heirs, and I never cared about them as much as the rest. Even the story itself points this out in 3.7 when Finan subconsciously rejected them because they lived in an era where he wasn't really active and he never got too close to them. Then 3.6 focused mostly on the Astral Express crew, which I appreciated, and I think that 3.6 is my favorite story patch in the second half, but due to the same reasons, the Amphorius cast didn't get much time to shine during this patch either, and 3.7 focused mostly on Cyrene. And while I enjoyed all this story as standalone experiences, when I try putting them together, things feel a lot all over the place. Like this half is very disjointed. But nonetheless, it was still a very pleasant experience for me. I'm not saying that it's bad. Again, it's just that I preferred the first half over the second half. Now, let's talk a bit about the ending. And oh boy, this is something that the people are really torn about, especially when it comes to Cyrene's character. Overall, I think that the ending of Amphorius was solid. Not exceptional, not bad by any means, just a solid ending. And I think that people built up their expectations too much based on the fact that the story of Amphorius was told over 8 patches. You would think that a story as grand as this one will have an incredible bombastic finale, right? Well, yes, and it had, but I feel like no matter what Hoyoverse would have done, they could have never risen up to the expectations that some of the people had for Amphorius. It was a bittersweet ending, and yes, there is some hope for the future of Amphorius, but it did leave me with a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, especially during Cyrene's part at the end. I enjoyed it, but also I was a little bit unsatisfied. One of the main things that was disappointing to me was that while Amphorius' story and ending worked well as a standalone story, they really didn't contribute much to the story of HSR overall. One comparison I want to make would be Elysian Realm, and of course, Elysian Realm, I think it's the closest and the best thing we can compare this story to. And you can argue that Elysian Realm had an even more bittersweet ending because while there is hope for the future for Amphorius and the Crisis heirs, ER had absolutely no hope for the Flame Chaser. That was the end for them. But the ending left me a lot more hopeful and satisfied, simply because while Elysia sacrificed herself, her sacrifice has a very important meaning for the future generations and the future of the story from her game. Her relationship with May was built through the entire story, and at the end I felt really invested in that aspect. It was clear how much Elysia's story touched and changed May. Remember how abrasive and suspicious she was when she first entered ER? Well, by the time she was leaving, she was actually crying and she barely could move. She didn't want to leave. Elysian Realm fundamentally changed everything about the story and changed May as a person very visibly to the point where she kept mentioning them even after Elysian Realm has ended. And it actually became a meme in the community that May just cannot shut up about them. Meanwhile, for Amphorius, while I feel like each Christos Heir had a very touching story and it was great to experience them, and I'm sure that the memories will be present with the rest of the Trailblazers in future content and they will be mentioned, it didn't felt like they left their marks in the same way as the Flame Chasers in Honkaiimpact 3rd left their marks on the story. Or at least, it's not that significant. Of course, this may also be because the Trailblazer is a self-insert, while May was a fully fledged character. But they even joke in the end of the story in 3.7 that although they technically spent thousands of years on Amphorius, they didn't change much, and now they are just going to continue trailblazing like nothing ever happened. Funny March, you spent a couple millennia in Amphorius, haha, you're still the same. Meanwhile, you could clearly see that May was a different person when she left Elysian Realm. The story feels very fragmented, and this is because of Star Rail's way of telling a story, divided by worlds, that in my opinion really doesn't work in the favor of a grand overall story that the game also tries to tell. We're almost 3 years into the lifetime of this game, and to be honest, the end goal of the story is still vague as hell. It involves Nanook, the end of the universe, but we still don't know what really are chasing it. It's a mystery, which bits of context added in each planet, but to be honest, it's still very vague. If you ask me what's the end goal of Star Rail, I have a much harder time to answer than Genshin, than Honkaiimpact 3rd, than other games. To be honest, I was thinking about what I feel like Wuthering Waves has an even worse issue when it comes to the end goal. We still have no idea what Rover wants to do, just explore Solaris and regain his memories. That game has no end goal. I feel like HSR also suffers from the same problem a little bit. Now, let's talk Cyrene. I think Cyrene as a character was alright, but like the majority of people, I feel like there were very few things that distinguished her from Alicia. In fact, they are so similar in both personality and design that every time I see a fan art of them, I genuinely have to stop for a moment and look closely to figure who this is supposed to be. Character variants are a staple of the Honkai series. Like it or not, they are here to stay for all future games. Complaining that they exist is like going into a bakery and complain that there is bread, like no shit. But complaining about how Poyo is handling them is fair. And it's weird that after variants like Finan and Acheron, who stood very clearly on their own 2 feet while also bringing homage to their counterparts from the previous games, you have Cyrene, who seems to not be able to leave Alicia's shadow. And why is that? Well, honestly, I think that it's because of what kind of character Alicia/Cyrene is. Alicia, by all ends and purposes, is supposed to be a perfect character. And that doesn't mean that she is a bad character. In fact, it's even more impressive how they managed to make her such a good character despite being this perfect being. She is literally meant to be perfect. The fact that she has no flaws is one, not the entire theme of the character, but it's one of the themes of her character. And I feel like it's very hard to make variants for such a character because there are no flaws you can build top upon. Like, look at Acheron. She is a May variant that embraced her loneliness and had a tragic end. Kaslana is a love letter to Kevin's philosophy, who encompasses the character dealing with hardship in all the moments of his life. We have the younger, naive Finan and the jaded, cynical and exhausted Flame Reaver, who is supposed to be Kevin in the later parts of the story. Finan's complexity as a character is off the charts, but with Alicia/Cyrene you can do much without changing the character fundamentally. You can't do much with a perfect character. She will always be perfect. And I think that's why they feel so
That is
similar.
true.
But I feel like what made Alicia shine so much despite being a perfect character was the interactions with the world and the people around her. Alicia's character was supposed to be a juxtaposition with the imperfect world and the characters around her. The reason her character was able to shine so much was because of her interactions with the other characters, learning about them, befriending them, and seeing how everybody is drawn to her light despite everything that happens in the world. Alicia was the hope and guiding light for the Flame Chasers and also to some extent for the people of the new era. Every interaction with others made you love her more and more. And that wasn't because she was perfect, but because the perfect character managed to shine more brightly than anyone and unite a band of misfits into what they are today. Not to mention that Alicia strived to be human in every aspect, despite her not being born as one, and through her interactions with others, she slowly learned to be more like just a regular girl, even breaking through the theme of perfection by showing her insecurities and worries, just like every other human would have in that situation. And this is where Cyrene's character was lacking, in my opinion. They never really went out of their way to show her human side that much anyway. And don't get me wrong, I like Cyrene. Her boundless love for humanity and Euphorius is on the same level as Alicia's. The entire part about her splitting into Philia 093 and the Demiurge and Anchor, the cause and effect of Euphorius, were very tragic, but she truly lacked the interactions with other characters beside the Trailblazer to showcase more of her character, and in order to build her up towards the moment where she sacrifices herself to keep the loop going and make it more meaningful. And it doesn't help that the Trailblazer is a self-insert with minimal dialogue and tidbits of character, besides being a raccoon who tells jokes in inappropriate moments. And I feel like this also dragged Cyrene's character as well, since she interacted with the Trailblazer the most. So yeah, in my opinion, one of the main reasons why Cyrene's character was dragged down was because the Trailblazer is a self-insert. Now, let's talk about some of the other criticism I saw online. The first thing I want to mention is the superfluous dialogue and pretentious writing. Some of the most common criticism I see when it comes to the writing of HSR and the Honkai series in general, to be honest, is the fact that the pacing is awfully slow, characters use a lot of technical jargon that is not properly explained, they repeat the same thing over and over, the dialogue is needlessly long and flowery to the extent that characters talk like theater kids on crack and not real human beings. And I agree. To some extent. I do think that the Honkai writers have a habit of messing up the pacing and explaining the same concept over and over. In fact, I had the same critique during the Moon arc in Honkai Impact 3rd, and Euphorius reminded me a lot of that. I don't know if this is because they are afraid that people won't understand certain concepts, but it's clear that they like to repeat certain things in the story. But what makes it even more egregious is the fact that they repeat them in such confusing manner that it doesn't matter that they say the same thing 3 times during the story because people still won't understand. And at the same time, I agree that the dialogue can be very flowery and over the top and feel very unnatural. Most people do not talk like that. And Euphorius had a lot of moments.
That's why I feel like I keep saying the same things through videos. I try to apologize again because like I feel like when you repeat the same thing over and over, it does get a little tiring.
Verbose dialogue, even for characters that do not normally speak like that. For example, the Trailblazer. It's very jarring to see this trash raccoon, who most of the time barely forms 2 cohesive sentences, talk like a Shakespeare character all of a sudden. But from what I have observed, this is a very common thing with Chinese games. I talked about this with some of my friends from China, and they said that the reason they think the writing in some of these games is like this is because Chinese literature is very flowery by nature. So this type of writing is a lot more common there. And while this can work in a book or even a visual novel, in a 3D game with character models, depths of field and camera work, this type of writing doesn't translate very well. But at the same time, I don't think that the story itself is bad. Is the way they present it pretentious? In a way, yes. Is it for everybody? No, and I can definitely see why a lot of people don't like this direction. But this is something I always said about Hoyoverse games. Just because the writing is hard to get through, it doesn't mean that the story and the characters are devoid of meaning. The developers put a lot of effort into developing the narrative and the story that is clear as day if you have the patience to look deeper than the surface level. Their stories often hide deeper philosophical meanings, social commentary, and valuable life lessons for those who want to take a deeper look. But I feel like the way they presented the dialogue and the story isn't for everybody. While they could get away with this type of storytelling in more niche games like Honkai Impact 3rd, where the audience is more prone to this type of writing and has the patience to look deeper into the meaning of the text, HSR has a very mainstream audience who is not interested in sitting and watching hours upon hours of dialogue between characters, waxing philosophicals with very little gameplay. And that is perfectly understandable. I'm not saying that those people are uneducated or that they cannot understand the greatness that is Hoyo's writing. No. In fact, Hoyo's writing is a chore to get through. That is a normal reaction. But all I'm saying is that those who chose to immerse themselves into the story and actually pay attention at what's happening under the surface often see how deep and complex Hoyo's writing can be. And that's something that can draw in people to the story and make them like the characters even more. I feel like both parts are justified here. A lot of times I see a very black or white discourse when it comes to Hoyo's writing and story. It's either garbage or a masterpiece depending on who you ask. And while I think it's neither, I think that depending on who you are, you can be off-put by the sheer amount of exposition and flowery language, but you can also appreciate the care, love, and deep meaning Hoyo puts into these characters. Unfortunately, the sheer size of the game attracted an audience that doesn't have the patience to sit through such stories, and that's perfectly fine. And this is why Amphorius is so heavily ostracized by some parts of the community, while also being loved and considered the best story in Honkai Star Rail at the other end.
I haven't really experienced the pacing of the story too much yet. In fact, I probably, with how I, watch the animations and the lore stuff, like, probably, like, I don't know, maybe it could have been in a way paced better for me. So I don't really know about that. I guess I have to see, like, actually playing the game, how the story goes. But, on like a surface thing, I do like. I could see how like the flowery language or being just a little complicated at times, but as a basic thing, it's a good story. It's a good story. Yeah, every aspect of the writing, yeah, probably not a masterpiece, but definitely something that I if I wouldn't call it black or white either, but if I had to, I would say it be it more in the positive light than like the negative. Like it's more of a masterpiece than it is garbage, at least in my opinion. Not to say that it is like an absolute masterpiece, but I can't. I don't think I have the complete right to say that. Yeah, probably only people who actually played the games can. But just from what I've seen, it's pretty good.
By people like myself. I see people often saying that Belobog was the best story in Honkai Star Rail, to which I disagree in a way. Belobog wasn't that good, in my opinion. I'm sorry, please put the forks away. But I do think that Belobog was the most digestible story.
The subtitle said one of the worst in my opinion. They said not whether they changed that on the fly or.
Straight to the point with an epic fight and conclusion. It was a story that everybody could play, understand, and have a great time with. That is why many people keep it in such a high regard. Meanwhile, while I think that Amphorius is a lot more complex, deep, and overall better as a story on a structural level, is a chore to get through, and that's why people don't resonate with it too much. And I feel like Good stories that are hard to get through is the modus operandum for the Honkai writing team. Most people have work, families, and other obligations, so they want to spend their free time on something that it's relaxing, quick, and gives them satisfaction. So it's not a surprise that many people don't have the patience to waste their free precious time on a 7-hour story that isn't fun to get through. I always praised Wuthering Waves for its presentation and because it's a very simple story that is easy to get through. I truly believe that from a story perspective, Honkai Star Rail's story and lore are a lot more deep, rich, and complex than Wuwa's. But Wuwa is very simple, and that's also its biggest strength. And keep this in mind, simple story does not mean bad. It's a story that is fun to play. Meanwhile, HSR
Simple
is
can
the
be good.
opposite. A very rich, complex story with great world building and characters that feels like a chore to go through. Of course, this depends on the person, right? I'm not saying that this applies to you, but I think that it applies to the mainstream gacha audience. One thing about me that I rarely share is that I finished film school. I have a bachelor's degree in film studies and screenwriting. So I am used to media that is hard to get through, trust me. My homework in college was to watch 7-hour movies where almost nothing happened. So I am used to it. I had to watch a lot of movies that are considered pretentious and tedious, and that most people would leave the cinema if they were to play them in a theater. But I also learned why those type of movies are critically acclaimed and appreciated in the cinephile circles. There is a clear distinction between commercial movies and, let's call them, artistic movies. You go to watch a commercial movie when you want to relax, have a good time, and watch something fun. And you go to watch an artistic movie when you want to put in more effort as a spectator. You're not there for entertainment necessarily, but to experience this form of art on a deeper level that sometimes isn't necessarily pleasant or relaxing, and can even be frustrating. I often feel like Hoyoverse is trying to present the story of the game like an artistic movie. Okay,
That's a good analogy. I myself I not to that degree, but I went to a little bit of I didn't feel it was more like a multimedia thing. It was like a mixed degree on like photography and like video stuff. And one was about like the history of film, and we watched Citizen Kane one time, and that movie's ass. I was as a movie, that movie I couldn't, man. Like it probably I know it innovated like the industry, the art. It was very artsy. Like yeah, I have respect for it, but like as far as like sit down for entertainment. Terrible. I guess that's what he's saying right now. Like there's two different things, and one thing can be better for the other thing. But yeah, we were doing it. It was during COVID times, and so it was like I was through a Zoom call. I think I fell asleep during it. I remember waking up. I was like, oh, I think everyone was gone. But yeah, that's yeah, sometimes different thing like like a Marvel movie, that's more of like a commercial one. So I get, but even so, sometimes some artistic it can be too much. I feel like you can balance it sometimes, and it's like it's artsy and entertainment.
saying that it's like an artistic movie. Mm-hmm. This is just an analogy. Don't take it literally. It just means that they use a very niche style of storytelling.
Good analogy, though. I get what you're saying.
Who doesn't necessarily have the patience to get through it. It's like having a bunch of high school kids who are at the cinema for a Fast and Furious movie watch a Bellatar movie.
That is true.
you don't want that. They will just leave the cinema after 15 minutes. Anyway, I'm going.
Now, I actually have, from what I've experienced in Star Wars, I have been enjoying it. The actual gameplay of it, a little bit less so, like the whole turn-based thing. I'll probably get into that more than once I actually get videos up that actually me get into the game. But the whole turn-based thing, I'm actually not the biggest fan of that. But as far as like a story goes and character, I've been enjoying it. So I just don't. I'm probably more of like a commercial versus artistic guy, but I guess I'll take that for what that's worth.
The idea is that I really like Amphorius. Is it perfect? No. Could it be better? Yes. Did I have a great time knowing this world and characters? Absolutely. For me, this was the best story in the entire game. But I do hope that they will improve on some of the criticism that they got during this patch cycle and make it more digestible for the people who are not necessarily there to and don't have the time to watch 7 hours of story with very complex dialogue. I feel like they they could do a compromise and keep this story at the same level of richness, of polish, of meaning, and have excellent characters like they did in Amphorius, and also make it a bit more
Is
digestible.
that?
I think that's their biggest issue.
That looks exactly like the
If you like the video, give a like, subscribe,
Elysian
and
Realm 13
glory
Flame
to the
Chasers thing.
13. See you guys next time. Bye bye.
Glory to the 13. What an ending. Because that's it. For now, I am completely caught up with this playlist. I have watched the whole thing. Ever since the Zur Waters up here. We did it. We did it. Now, I know I'm already like kind of at stopping point here, but I would like to watch some of this other stuff as well. Before we get into that though, just I don't know that this maybe I'm overreacting because not only is this not the end of Honkai reactions because I have a lot more planned like I explained last time, but this might not even be the end of the playlist. I might come back to it if it gets updated for something I need to watch. Just have to see how it goes, but this has been a pretty big thing on the channel right now. For a while, like I really think it's been a year. I haven't done the math, but I think it's been a year of watching this playlist. So I want to say quick thank you to everyone. First of all, Slime Tensei, thank you for putting this together for me. Maybe not specifically me, but thank you for putting this together and sending it to me. It says like there's like two other people on the playlist. Maybe that's just like multiple accounts, but Slime Tensei, you're the one who sent this to me, so thank you. Thank you, of course, to the people who made the videos. Like, not, of course, they just uploaded them, but with Homu Labs, who we just watched, a lot of respect for him. He has a great channel, lots of stuff there. Potato Almanac is another one, lots of Potato Almanac stuff there. The Honkaiimpact third channel in general, and the Honkai Hoyoverse team in general for putting up all the videos they did and making them be okay to watch on YouTube. The quality absolutely was a quality of some stuff, like some TV shows that they could absolutely copyright claim, but they never do. So that's awesome. That is honestly awesome of them. Big shout for them to that. And everyone in who made videos in this playlist, thank you as well. Trying to see some names here. Ufi TV, I think that's one. Elix, one that kind of sprout up after Ashikai also. Nameless Keslana, I've heard that's some stuff, and there's some other ones that we upload some stuff. Oh, Raucous Terminal, there's I've uploaded some stuff before. Yeah, just everyone in this playlist and stuff. Thank you, and thank you guys who have been watching and commenting and just you know, just I don't know, man. Like we all have a limited amount of time in the day, and you know, especially time on entertainment. And for anyone like choosing to do that with me at any point, it's awesome. It's awesome to think about. Auto VW, thank you. You're a big commenter. I appreciate all your comments, especially some of the ones that are like, explaining stuff. Loop 90 full one. You also are someone who I've seen quite a bit in the comments. I'm sorry if I miss anybody. I don't really have time to go through all of them. But like, if you ever left a comment, if you're watching, thank you so much. Haha yo 154. I've seen, pretty sure seen a bit. Blue CHMA Shama. I'm sorry if I can't say your names. I don't want to make it feel like I'm like retiring from YouTube or something. Not too like I won an award or something. But I just this is a big. This feels like a big thing, big moment. So yeah, thank you guys for sticking by me through this whole playlist. Especially if it was something that you weren't trying to see, if you wanted me to see other things. But I don't think anyone said anything like that. But yeah, like I said. We are not done, If you think I'm milking Honkai, well, I might be at this point, but I don't want to think of it as milking. There's just so much here. I want to keep going with it, and I still want to make videos like it. This is fun for me. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't fun for me. You guys make it fun, and I thank you guys that want to watch it. And yeah, like I said, in the last one, more things to come. I might actually start playing Honkaiimpact 3rd, like some old VODs of me just dipping the toes into it, and once I get caught with that, I'll be, actually maybe playing it in like a real time kind of thing. I want to like maybe play Star Rail and then react to Lord videos of that, but before that, we got some trailers that I want to watch, and the mangas. Oh, Slime Tensei sent me like a document thing of the order to read the mangas in, so I'll see what I want to do about that. But there is a lot. There's that one music video I wanted to do. That was just a one-off thing, and that might be coming soon. We'll see, though. But yes, thank you guys for watching. And big fat GG's on the playlist. If it gets updated again, I'll be back, though. But for now, to being any sort of updated, or any sort of caught up, is awesome. It's crazy. We're here. We are here. And alright, let's watch some of the stuff that I've been missing a while of this. So we have Alicia's new S-rank battle suit. High Love Elf preview. These are in upload order, so this is the most recent upload of their channel. It was like 4 weeks ago, I think. Don't blink. I blinked. Youth, aspiration. On a roller coaster? Oh.
爱的奇迹乐园永不落幕。做了，梦幻旅程这就出发。你问为什么他会成为爱神使者？因为他是艾莉西亚。
Is that a different voice? It felt like a different voice.
是一位名为艾莉西亚的普普通通的魔法少女。
Made for this specific battle suit.
或许也没那么普通。
他生活在和平的世界，过着平静的生活。他没有超乎寻常的力量，爱和友善就是他最大的魔法。
Oh, dang!
在我们的认识里，爱是个抽象又具体的东西。但艾莉西亚对大家的爱很深，也很擅长在日常生活用一些实际的行动和言语去表达。
他会给下夜班的
She made cupcakes for everyone.
爱的点心。
That's
在伊
funny.
甸的舞台落幕，一切重归寂静时，悄悄出现在后台接他回家。会在给鹰送文件时，也附上给林的小礼物。当然，他也会搞一些恶作剧。他会把梅比乌斯的手套全部换成毛茸茸的猫爪手套，也会在维尔薇的礼炮上画上自己的 Q 版涂鸦。这些都是他爱的表达。
于是我们想到用最深沉似海洋的爱意作为爱神使者的切入点，然后再用轻盈的和弦把他的爱演奏出来。他像个充满活力的轻盈舞者，用红丝带把大家的爱意连接在一起。
I wonder what it's like being able to draw.
在场上又如同指挥家一般召唤信使来一同演奏。最后在漫天的花瓣和浪漫的氛围里，是吧？结束演奏，让大家感受来自爱里的那种幸福和爱意。
可爱的小粉丝，有没有想我
呢？就如每个魔法少女都会有个现实中的身份那样，艾莉西亚其实也是知名的美妆博主妖精小姐。在我们想象中，这样活泼可爱的少女心所画出的爱神使者，一定也汇聚了爱这个字眼所有最美好的想象。
要专心看着我，毕竟这可是我们之间的美好时刻。
在粉丝们的期待下，妖精小姐可是毫不懈怠哟。
最喜欢你了。
月老的红线是她战斗时翩翩起舞的丝带，我们在其中融入了一些体操的元素，来表现她的从容和优雅。丘比特的弓箭、七夕的鹊桥，这些源自神话的意象，组成爱的魔法，装点艾莉西亚以爱为名的战斗交响乐。
童话当然要共同完成。
开启星之环之后呢，艾莉西亚的魔法在大家的助力下得到彻底的释放。她会在这片花海中使用技能不断积蓄魔力，最终释放出终结技能。花海中的花瓣将会凝结为星空下的鹊桥，在桥的一端，艾莉西亚用花瓣作为寄托，将她的爱洒向世间。
想不想和我共舞一曲？要好好记下这个画面啊！爱的梦幻乐园，永不落幕。
平凡的生活，普通的幸福，再加上一点点爱的魔法，或许这就是黄金庭院的住客们最大的心愿。艾莉西亚总是在平平淡淡的日子里为大家送上惊喜，因为并不特别的每一天同样值得我们庆祝。她就是这样诚挚而热烈地爱着每个人，将满载祝福的弓矢送往所有需要她的人身边。要小心，爱神使者的金箭也已经瞄准你的心了哦。
喜欢刚才的花海吗？又或者更喜欢飞花般绚丽的少女呢？
Very nice, very nice. Definitely some cool stuff. Almost felt like Valentine's Day oriented. I guess that was released in October, and if it just came out now, it would have been kind of that's coming. Kind of is that February, I think. I don't know. All right, V8.5, a light for love trailer. Oh, part 2? Cena?
じゃあ、わざわざみんなの近況を知らせに来たの？違う、ここに来たのはあなたに。
Cat. Oh, this is for like the. I think this has been used in some B-roll for a few things.
昔々、遥か遠い楽
Few
園に
videos.
美しい愛の紳士がいました。
Oh, that's
彼女は
the.
人々に幸せを与え、愛の花を咲かせます。ある願いのため、少女は試練を越え、彼女を探し求めました。
Sakura.
そしてついに、愛の紳士はこう答えてくれたのです。私に会いたくなった？
So this is still this
話を紡ぎましょう。よく見て。
Elysian outfit. Alicia
しっ
outfit.
かり。
Oh. Oh.
愛と夢の楽園は永遠に終わらないわ。
I almost thought that was like a story thing for part 2. Oh, sorry, it's a new story chapter. I'm never at a point where I'm like caught up with everybody. Like I'm caught up with it with Honkaiimpact 3rd, like the game and Star Rail, and like waiting for like new chapters and stuff. That'd be crazy. Like that would be a moment. Alright, what we got? Oh, Honkaiimpact 3rd's S rank battle suit. Oh yeah, the Miss Elf is live streaming. Oh, she's a streamer.
悩み事何でもいいのよ妖精さんに話してみて生活のアドバイスが欲しいってメイクも
Makeup tutorials.
妖精さんが手伝ってあげるわ
Now this sounds like Alicia's voice. That last one I thought, maybe, unless I'm just tripping.
私の日常に興味がある
That first one I thought sounded like a little higher pitch.
妖精さんとみんなの一日を見てみましょう
Oh no.
でも仲間のためなら私ももちろん戦うわ
Said.
可愛い女の子は何だってできるんだから
I love Elf. Oh. Oh yeah, the bow effects are pretty sick. Oh. Oh man. Can she make a bridge, or is that just a visual thing?
ドタバタしちゃったけどみんなと一緒にいられて楽しかったわ明日も私の笑顔に応えてくれるまた会いましょうバイバイ
Bye bye. Very nice. I gotta see. Am I losing my mind?
はい可愛いファンのみんな
What's playing? Oh, now she's vlogging. She went from streaming to vlogging.
别眨眼啊现在是爱神使者的魔法时间
No way that's the same voice. And
无论是青春
that is her, right? Yeah, that is her.
妖精さんに話してみて还是生活のアドバイスが无论是青春理想
I don't think I'm losing my mind. I don't know. You guys can let me know. I think this one seems like it had a different voice than that one. Oh, we'll see. But Miss Elf's vlog, a day in the Golden Courtyard.
可愛いファンのみんな私に会いたかった
Oh, the cupcakes are in the back, but I'm
私の
blocking them.
仲間たちのことが気になるっていうコメントよく見かけるのだから今回は一緒に彼らの日常を見てみましょう
Oh, what are they up to?
今は楽屋でリハーサルをしてい
Rehearsing
るの
backstage.
今回の舞台は結構前から準備をしているからなんだか黄金の庭園が恋しくなってきたわ
さすがエデンね最初に反応してくれるなんて
Eden responds first. Nice.
あらビルビーの
Sylvie's
新
new
しい発明
invention.
偉大な発明にも時間が必要みたいね メビウス教授は何をしてるのかしら。
止まらない。つまりこれからも黄金の庭園を壊し続けるってこと？暗い。動画撮影なんてやめて試験管を全部洗いなさい。
相変わらず2人は仲がいいのね。
Just kidding.
さくらの仕事も無事終わればいいんだけど。あら？
Oh.
ケビンも残業してるの？
ケビン、ここ数日の徹夜仕事のせいか具合が悪そうだ。僕が診察しよう。いや、まだバグが。ケビン、しっかり。
疲れたらぐっすり寝るのが一番よね。邪魔しないでおきましょう。コズマだからマズコ？いい名前ね。
Unsent.
ふわったらすごく楽しそうにしてるわね。あら、アポニアも動画を投稿したみたい。これはフェリス？
キッチンの入り口にセンゴーとパルダがいるよ。
Cow Pister! Stop saying that!
センゴーの兄ちゃん、もう許してよ。
キッチンはしばらく使えそうにない。
みんな忙しそうね。いつも賑やかな黄金の庭園らしいわ。すっごく楽しくて暖かいでしょ。あら、そろそろお別れの時間ね。キッチンの様子を見に行かなきゃ。また会いましょう。
Peace. That was a nice one. I like those little like videos they make like that. Like, I like those a lot. I'm glad they're still making them. That was a good one. Oh, what? I got 1 million views. Yeah, people still care about the Elise after all this time. So that's awesome. Alright, this is just a little 30-second one. Badum Fiery Wishing Star outfit. Wintry Wishes debut. Oh, wow. There's snowman? Ooh. I like a water Kiana. I thought that was like Grecio or even Sele at first, but I think that was water Kiana. That was cool though. Cool though. I don't know if there was any other videos on that. I don't know. Miss Elf's Magical Invitation. This is we're back with Alicia. ，Yeah, this is Poppy. Oh, she rapping. Alicia can rap, okay? Nice. Here are the cupcakes again. V5, V8.5 Creator Incentive Program Highlights Recap. I skipped over tutorials and what was there? The Hyperion lounges, because those were like 20 minutes a pop. But tutorials didn't look like that was something I was watching before, so I skipped over those. But anything else that was posted from the last time, I like caught up to when they were, you know, what they posted since then, pretty much. Is this like fan art stuff? The streamer thing. Are they gonna make Elysia a VTuber? Nah, that would break the internet. Maybe if they made any Honkai person, if they like got the voice actor, made him a VTuber, that would probably break the internet. For sure. Like that would just get so much hype. Oh yeah, there's the creator. Oh, there's the contest thing. Dang. Yeah, these are mad good. That's a cosplay. That's another cosplay. Very nice. Thank you for watching.
今日は素敵な日ね。ありがとう。あなたの祝福で完璧な一日になったわ。
That was cool. You gotta love when they give a spotlight to fan work and stuff, because there's a lot of it, and that's what builds communities. Alright, Rita's new S-Rank battlesuit, Miss Espionage preview. This was only uploaded a mere month ago.
救命啊！谁来救救我？
发现任何异常，他在那，抓住他！
已清除全部障碍。让您久等了，迪安卡大人。
一边就过，不愧是丽塔大人。
Making a movie.
你的演技这么好，那还是多亏了您呢。
Rita.
跟紧我，德丽莎大人。
Oh my. Holy crap.
想
Damn.
知道我的身份？
Does she make clones?
你的时间不多。
Oh.
丽塔的日程表上是没有休息日的，每天她要为尤兰戴尔制作营养早餐，为德丽莎处理棘手工作，指点苏珊娜训练，并在娜塔莎的任务结束后，马上下达新的指示。在一天结束前，只要尤兰戴尔推开家门，丽塔一定会刚刚做好晚饭。所以，当德丽莎宣布要为丽塔开设女武神特别作战训练课时，大家都很惊讶，丽塔什么时候当了特工？在大崩坏结束后的和平时期，为了不打扰普通民众的生活，天命的女武神采取另外一种更为隐秘而低调的行动。特工就是在这个背景下诞生的，丽塔的全新身份。 当丽塔穿着高定礼服，佩戴精致珠宝，带着迷人香气，华丽完成任务时，德丽莎当即决定全天命推广。
这次的丽塔的新装甲呢，想给人一种混入人群中穿着礼服的一个冷酷危险的形象。这次它的盔甲部分会少了很多，但是我们还是延续了它以前的那种优雅的气质，还保留它身上那种玫瑰的元素。背后上的那个辫子的装饰，像一个金属的那种倒钩一样，在引诱着敌人，就像一个蝎子的尾巴一样，让人不寒而栗。当他使用技能的时候呢，他的大腿会发出象征着他力量的一个蓝色的幽光。
结合 IP 设定，这样优雅的造型不太适合随时拿着镰刀。最终我们决定选择体术作为这次丽塔的主要战斗方式，只在必杀技时拿出镰刀进行终结一击。在保留丽塔原有战斗特色的同时，也希望给喜欢丽塔的舰长带来新的体验。
在几乎不使用镰刀的情况下，想要展示丽塔的全部魅力，那就必须牢牢抓住2个部位：腰和腿。首先腰需要足够的灵活，尤其是在全裸背的情况下，柔软且有力的腰部动作会时刻吸引我们的注意力。其次，腿虽然在常态下会被装甲挡住了，但一旦动起来，以腰带法，挥洒自如，行云流水，游刃有余，浑然天成，精妙绝伦。在战斗之外，丽塔依然会借由镰刀的支撑来充分展现她曼妙的姿态。
这次丽塔在战斗中的核心能力是重现。丽塔在攻击期间进行重现，会在原地留下一个幻象，幻象会继续完成未完成的攻击。丽塔会重新出现，并再次释放一次类似的攻击。通过重现，我们希望展现出丽塔在战斗中让敌人琢磨不定的形象，并鼓励玩家用更短的时间打出更多的攻击。
释放大招时，丽塔会犹如跳起一只死亡的华尔兹一般，拿出镰刀，迅速召唤出2个残影，协助本体一起发动凌厉的攻击。
哇，3倍丽塔
！Triple Arena 哦。
任务结束，希望下一次。
Walks away, cool guys don't look at explosion。
这样的实战经验必须全部交给学生。小妹妹苏珊娜自告奋勇要为偶像制作教学视频，从头到尾丽塔的表现无可挑剔。如果一定要提个建议，那就是在潜入作战时，丽塔必须克服内心帮忙打扫和摆盘的本能。无论是教学还是任务，大家都相信丽塔一定能做到完美。这份信任是丽塔严于律己的回馈，更是她不断向前的动力。
特工丽塔，随时待命。
Cool. Once again, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Very good battle suit to that. I had some sick effects as well. And I missed watching these like interview videos. Like, it brings me back a little bit because back in the day when I was my prime as a Call of Duty fan, back when the games were good, specifically Black Ops 2. I remember when it was like DLC time, they would like, I would get excited to like see like they would describe DLC like this. Like it was like an interview thing. They'd show maps and then they showed like the zombies map and then they'd show like maybe a little extra thing. Sometimes the cat came with a weapon or something else. But But yeah, also I just like seeing like the behind the scenes, and I know that was like a big in the character trailers, but I haven't watched one of those in a while, so that was very cool to get back to, and that leaves us with just one more video that was uploaded December 26th, 2025, the Banquet operative trailer, and just to show you guys, yeah, other than the tutorial thing, that was the most recent one 4 weeks ago. And yeah, I just skipped that from the Hyperion Lounge and the tutorial of like the battle suit thing. I just wasn't watching those, so yeah, this is gonna be last one for today.
なんだかアンカーが前より暗く
ったのにどうして今別行動するつもり？残り22日、失敗を重ねる余裕はもうないの。
あら失礼お邪魔でしたか？
Nice transition. So I sent out a trailer for her her battle suit.
見つけましたよ。油断禁物です。はっ。足元にお気をつけを。視覚より鋭いのはあなたの痛覚ですよ。
That is sick. Version 8.6. The final thing in 2025 they did. Nice music. The Banquet Operative. Alright. Well, with that, I am caught up now with the Honkaiimpact 3rd official uploads, as well as the lore and big playlist. Sorry if that was a little bit too packed. This did end up being a pretty long video, but well, I thought I was gonna maybe get through those first 2 videos a little bit faster and have some like time to do this, and then this kind of added up. But you know what? Why not? It is an extra long video for the monumentous occasion that I got caught up with this playlist. Watch me refresh and I'll be added a video. And I don't know, but that Elix channel, if I didn't thank already, thank you as well. And then the big, like, you know, finale, thank you. They seem to be uploading videos that are, like, you know, relating, like, you know, Star Rail stories into Honkaiimpact 3rd. So I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone left, though. Like, they did Vita, they did Welt, and Void Archives. I don't know if there's any, unless they do a Himiko video, but that's like 2 different characters and not the same story. I don't know, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed all the playlist reactions, all my Honkai reactions in general. Like I keep saying, we aren't done yet. I hope you guys enjoy what's next to come. Maybe some gameplay videos and some other sort of reaction things for both Honkaiimpact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail. Exciting future, definitely. Exciting future. But for now, as of right now, the playlist is over. For now. I'll come back to it if it gets updated a bunch, you know. I'll come back to it, but you know, for now it is. We are probably gonna like move on as far as my Honkaiimpact 3rd stuff goes. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like or dislike, subscribe or don't subscribe. You know it's always up to you. I will see you guys in the next video you watch of me. Good boy.